This is the final video and the 9th video. Goon's gloss clear. All the surfaces have been basically painted. All I have to do is detail them. So I'm going to put this clear coat of paint on to protect the paint from damage and wear and scratching. I'm going to use this base a lot for demonstrating and displaying a lot of kits. It's probably going to do a little travelling to some shows and whatnot. So I want a lot of coats of this clear paint on it. The initial one's going to be a little on the thick side, and it's going to be just sealing the paint. Then I'm going to ink the entire project. I'm going to panel line the entire project. I'm going to add decals, probably a little bit of light paint weathering and whatnot. I'm going to add another clear coat, or another few layers of clear coat, nice and thick. It's going to give it that just extra protection. Then, because it's going to be as glossy as hell, because I've been laying clear coat after clear coat, I'm going to correct it a bit by adding a matte coat, which I'll talk about later. And then correct it a little more by hand painting a tiny bit of gloss. These are a heap of markers I have, felt tip and Gundam markers, plus a Sharpie in there somewhere. I like the felt tip markers the most. They do smudge off the kit eventually, but once you seal it in a clear coat, when the second layer of clear coat will go on, not even God's wrath will remove it. And I've got a few thicknesses from 1mm, 0.1 mil all the way to 5 mil or 1 mil. You can get a range of thicknesses in the range of effects. That was just a 1 mil. Doing a little bit of a crack, and this is the thin mill covering a corner of a certain bit of detail, so I can get all sorts of nice effects. And if I royally screw up, I can just put a little water on some tissue and just wipe it off, or even lick my finger and just scrub that off if I'm feeling lazy. Very, very forgiving, but it only comes in the colours of red, which is shit, blue, which is shit, and black. Unfortunately, the Gundam markers, which I don't like, stay dry out and turn to crap, are the ones with all the interesting and nice colours. That's all the detail filled in, my panel marking, and this is my wash I've been talking about, the ink by Citadel. I generally wad that on quite thickly with a brush, let it sink in and sit into all the detail and whatnot, and wipe it back, and it's got that shadowy soot dirt effect. Looks worn, looks real. So yeah, just wipe it on with a brush straight out of the jar. Wipe it with just toilet tissue. And when you get into all that little detail up there and whatnot, a little bit of exercise and dabbing it out and playing around and redoing certain areas if it's not detailed enough, and that's how you get that signature look that I have in most of my kits. This is more or less my secret. It's a long job because I do have to cover every surface of it, and I did use a fair amount of it. I actually have to buy some more. You can see me dabbing that bit of tissue along the model, that little detail area. Generally with this ink, it's a black, very fine paint. All the paint's going to sit to the bottom of the detail. It's quite heavy. It's going to sit in any crack or whatever. And once you wipe the top layer or the surface, the paint that's left over sitting in the very cracks is going to stay there. And there you go, look at that checker plate in the surfaces, and that's the whole thing dirtied up. You can actually see every little bit of detail. These are the decals. Decals are quite nice, water based. Trim them off, dunk them in water, slide them off, slide them on the surface, flatten them, seal them. Very simple. I'll also do a video detailing how to apply decals in the future, but this will do until then. I've cut a small piece and I'm letting it soak in a tiny dish of water. The aftermarket decals and the decals made by Bandai are very nice, very strong, very easy to work with. No excuse. If you ever try using some of the old vintage kits or older military kits decals, they're very difficult to work with. They tear easily, wrinkle easily, they're quite shit. So anybody who's come from a military background is going to be agreeing with me, and anybody who's bitching about how hard the Bandai ones are to use, there are worse out there. And I'm just testing to see if it slides off. You still have to be careful because they tear easily, just as gentle as possible. and you just want to slide them straight off the backing of that paper, straight on the model. You do not want to handle the backing whatsoever, because you're going to be losing its stick. There we go, it's slightly starting to slide off. Put my finger on it. Generally I'm very gutsy, I'm going to handle it with it because I know how these decals work, but you want to be using tweezers and cotton buds and whatnot before you get a little more confident in handling the decals. Wet the surface before you put the decal on there, move it around to the position you like, absorb the extra water off the decal using tissue, and it's going to sit there and it's going to be, looks like that little bit of writing and that symbol or whatever it is that's on the decal has been painted onto the surface of your kit. It just gives it that extra more life and realism, and there you go, Principality of Zeon. This is Goon's decal softener. I don't like the decal dissolve because that sort of fucks things up. But generally what it's going to do is you put this solution on the decal and it's going to wrinkle up and look crazy and shit. And then you leave it and it's going to smooth itself out and just layer itself into the project. The actual decal itself is going to get really soft, and if you do handle it, it's going to tear and turn to shit. So just put your decal softener in it. It's going to look crazy like it does right now, and just don't touch it. Just leave it. It's going to shrink. If it still looks like shit, put more on, repeat the process. All the decals are on and it's looking quite nice. There's a bit of life there. I've put my panel lines on, my inks on, and I've just put a few coats of gloss, and now I'm going to put the matte coat. Matte's all this build-up of white pigment, and this pigment's going to block out the gloss pigment so it looks white and creamy. I'm going to add a heap of thinner and mix it, and you want to put very, very, very light coats on, because if the coats are too heavy, everything will just frost up or turn to white. This isn't a coat for protection, this is just a coat for finish correction, just to make it from glossy to non-glossy. The gloss coat is there for protection, that's why there's several coats, so the model's going to be a little more durable. So generally I put more thinner in there than I normally do when I'm putting paint. Mix it up, and what I actually want to do is I'm going to put it on very thinly and very patchy. This isn't going to be a full coat of matte. It's just going to be brushed across the base very patchy, so there's still going to be patches of gloss coming up. It's going to make the surface look like it's all scuffy and crappy. That's the effect I was aiming for, and it came out quite nicely. Another part that I did that I didn't quite film is I put some ink onto the surface of the floor to make it look like fuel stains and spill stains that the maintenance workers may have caused while working on the kits. And then where the actual spill is, I'm going to put a strong concentration of gloss so it actually looks like it's still wet and it's still liquid. More or less, this is my build overall. After this coat and after the touch-up of gloss, this thing's pretty much more or less finished, assembled, and to look at it all finished and together, refer to the very first video or the contestant entry to the Too Old for Toys contest. Thank you very much for watching the hour and a half of this tutorial, and until next time, thank you for watching.